Hey everyone, it's Woo Wednesday.
Ric Flair, can you tell us the phrase that pays?
It's Woo Wednesday, yeah, baby. Woo, 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 Wednesday, ha, woo.
Thank you, Nature Boy. It's that time of day where we take a moment and pause and say thanks to everyone who's making the world run. Let's start with the men and women in the military, police officers, firefighters, doctors, nurses, lab technicians, hospital orderlies, small business owners, restaurateurs, truck drivers, everyone working at the grocery stores and fast food joints, the Port of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Oakland and Union Station, the pilots and flight attendants. Let's listen to the national anthem.
We can agree to disagree, but our views are unapologetically right. It's the John Phillips Show.
And a very happy Wednesday to you at 12:07 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, we are broadcasting live every single day from noon to 3 on AM 790 KABC in Southern California, 810 KSFO in the Bay Area, and streaming live on video at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio, X at Johnny Don't Like, Facebook at KABC Radio, and Facebook at KSFO. If you have any trouble finding any of those links, go to KABC.com or KSFO.com. And if even that's too complicated, we're a concierge service here. And if you email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com, we will point you in the right direction.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And for the top story today, Randy, it's time for someone to get the governor a pacifier.
Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, may be in a little bit of trouble with one of the best reporters we have in the state of California. CBS News Investigates is Julie Watts, because Gavin Newsom did a very Gavin Newsom thing. He made a bold, big proclamation that nobody was asking for, said that this was going to be a game changer, and left the details and the follow-through to somebody else. Gavin Newsom held a press conference about 2 months ago talking about how the state of California was going to guarantee diapers, I believe like 400 diapers, to every single new parent in the state of California. Guaranteed diapers, although most experts, when you ask them about this program, say, you know, the kids change sizes real quick, so I don't know if that's really going to make any sense. But when you offer a brand new service to the residents of California, it means that you're going to need to have a contract with a vendor. And the vendor that got the funding for this brand new push in the state of California was a nonprofit called Baby to Baby. And what do you know? There are some links between the people at Baby to Baby and Jennifer Siebold Newsom, Gavin Newsom's first partner. That all being said, there's a lot of questions to be asked about, was there an actual bidding process for this diaper contract? And guess who's not answering any of those questions? Gavin Newsom.
Now, when you first told me about this and suggested that there might be some corruption, I thought to myself, maybe it was a bribe to Joe Biden so he could get an appointment in the administration. Because if he could provide adult diapers to the White House, that would certainly put him in a plum position.
I don't think this plan was about adult diapers, but if it was successful, I don't know if Baby to Baby has a subsidiary that's Grampy to Grampy.
Well, maybe Joe was going to go see the Pope again. He needed him the first time.
Well, for more on this incredible story and the fight to just get the basic details, what was in the contract that we signed to have the state of California buy millions and millions of diapers, here is a report from our friend Julie Watts and CBS News California Investigates.
40 million diapers, as many diapers will be distributed this year as Californians.
That was
40 million diapers.
That's a lot of diapers.
Governor Gavin Newsom about 2 months ago at a press conference announcing California's new free diaper program and a multi-million-dollar contract with the nonprofit Baby to Baby. But immediately critics pointed out that his wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, also had a relationship with at least one of the co-CEOs.
Sits on Jen's board of directors. Gavin Newsom is
That's a little suspicious.
Ooh, you were not supposed to do that.
Well, if you're the Newsoms, this is how you do everything.
claiming there was this huge, rigorous process to figure out which group to partner with for this free diaper program. But was it really a rigorous process?
There was also a lot of questions to begin with, and this is why Julie Watts started investigating this, because rumors started coming out. How much were we paying per diaper compared to how much is a diaper at Target? And is there a little bit of grift going on here? Well, if you show us the contract, we'll know exactly how much we're paying for the diapers.
Well, and don't forget, that is a very common way for politicians to take care of contributors. Go back to California Waste Solutions and all of that drama going on in Oakland and various East Bay cities. What they were accused of doing was overcharging residents for trash collection, and the government looking the other way and not going after them for doing that.
Oh, I think it goes further than that. If you want to go all the way back to the good old days of COVID.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Gavin Newsom signed those massive contracts with those Chinese companies to manufacture masks?
Oh, yeah.
And we never got to see the details of that either.
If you're best friends with the CEO of this company.
So we did a little fact check, and you should definitely go check out the story we did last month.
We did. We covered it. Julie's the best. Julie gives us lots of content.
But we could only go so far.
So far, the state will not give us a copy of the contract or the competitive bid scoring sheet.
4 days after that very high-profile press conference, we simply asked the governor's office for a copy of that contract that everyone was talking about.
Wouldn't that be a very simple ask? You make this big proclamation that we're going to give a whole bunch of money to Baby to give out diapers to every new parent in California. Shouldn't we know how much they're getting and how much the diapers cost?
And keep in mind, taxpayers in California pay for a Department of Communications within the governor's office. But instead of providing salient information like this, they just get bitchy with people on X.
Told us reach out to California Health and Human Services. They told us the contracts were with yet another agency.
Boy, Shangy, you know, I feel like it's the drop I have to play of her the most, because it's the best thing she ever said.
The bureaucracy is real.
Truer words have never been said.
Agency told us our request had been received. That means legally they had a maximum of 10 days to tell us whether or not we're going to get them.
Well, wait, that was in May, and it's now July.
Tick-tock.
Something tells me that the state did not follow through on what the state law is on public records requests.
Exactly 10 days later, now 14 days after the press conference, the state replies, citing an unusual circumstance clause in the California Public Records Act, giving them another 14 days to decide if these are disclosable records.
Okay, now this looks even worse. Even if there is nothing to see here, the fact that they don't want to show the contract is adding all kinds of suspicion about Gavin Newsom and Jen Newsom's relationship with Baby to Baby for this state-funded program that nobody asked for.
And keep in mind, they're not asking for something from the archives. They're asking for something that is theoretically easy to find and easy to provide if you're willing to do so. The delay is there because they don't want to do it, and they're trying to figure out how they can get away with not doing it.
I love when the Twitter and the YouTube people just write, bureaucracy.
California law clearly states any executed contract is a public record, and so are competitive bid scoring sheets.
Because that's one of the allegations here. Was there an actual, and this is so true with so many different government contracts. This is one of the reasons that Alberto Carvalho is no longer in charge of LAUSD because of that FBI investigation, where the LAUSD spent millions of dollars on developing an AI chatbot to teach the kids algebra, and he ended up giving that contract to a friend of his. If there's no bidding process, this is as straight up corruption as you can get.
And just to be clear, this is not like it falls in some sort of gray area. This is clear-cut, black and white. They just don't want to do what they're legally obligated to do, which is to provide the contract.
Fast forward 14 more days. Spoiler alert, they are disclosable records, but the state would need another 3 to 4 weeks to get us copies.
This is not looking good.
How is it that there is a deadline in the law in terms of how long you have to provide something like this, and they just make up new terms on their own, and we're just supposed to deal with it?
Well, if you think about it, outside of our incredible reporters and our press, like Julie Watts, like Ashley Zavala, who exactly is the person that would hold our own government accountable for failing to deliver on the law?
Not the LA Times.
Well, and it's certainly not going to be the Attorney General.
Bob Bonta.
The state waited 24 days to promptly notify us that it would need another 28 days to get us a copy of that contract.
Boy, this is a run out the clock situation. I think we'll get this contract the day after Gavin Newsom is no longer governor of the state of California.
And here is part of this. Not only are they doing it in terms of Gavin Newsom's presidential campaign, they know that budget cuts have hit just about every newsroom in California, broadcast being hit the hardest. So if they take a reporter like Julie Watts and they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to occupy all of your time on this one story for months and months and months and months, and we're not going to move on our position here. At some point, her shop is going to look at this and go, okay, we're paying someone a full-time salary to produce reports on California government and California politics, and she's not able to file stories because she's working on this really long expose on the diapers. Let's just pull her from the story and cut bait. I think that's what they were going for.
That the governor announced nearly 2 months ago.
A competitive bidding process.
Then, the day we were finally supposed to get the records, July 3rd, a state holiday, the Newsom administration told us they would need 2 more weeks.
Oh, come on!
And doesn't he call himself the most transparent governor in the history of the state?
Well, anybody that calls themselves transparent is anything but.
It's unacceptable.
That's Jenny LaRue. She's with the First Amendment Coalition.
You should have had it in your hands the day they were talking about it.
She argues documents like state contracts shouldn't even require a public records request.
I mean, there's so many questions about this. And the first one would be, who was asking for the free diapers?
Shouldn't state contracts be available online? Because you can look up what state employees make online. That's all public information. Why shouldn't contracts with vendors be available?
They'll find some excuse to say, this would be a risk to our security, like they do with all of the no-bid contracts when we've seen that Ashley Zavala has been covering with the Capitol Annex project.
I think there's a world where...
You know how much it costs to raise a kid in California thanks to our expensive cost? About $320,000 a year. I don't know if the free diapers are really going to push anybody in the right direction.
You know, I just thought of something, Randy.
Yes.
$320,000 will buy a lot of e-bikes.
State agencies just automatically upload all contracts.
I think there's a world where we make them do that.
That's State Senator Tom Umberg. He knows a bit about this issue.
Thank you, Assemblymember Pacheco, for bringing lots and lots of attention to this subject.
The Senate Judiciary Chair was instrumental in gutting a bill that would have let state agencies charge you hourly fees and even sue someone for requesting public information.
How is that allowed?
Because they're the most transparent administration in the history of the state, Randy.
Now, this is what was eventually gutted in a bill that would make it more difficult to obtain public records. But think about the legislature and their disdain for the press, where they were actually going to start looking at charging fees to the First Amendment protected free press to ask for public records in a public government.
Again, go back to the point I made earlier about the budget cuts in newsrooms. If they make it expensive to do your job, then you're just going to cover other subjects that are less expensive. I think that's part of their calculus.
People shouldn't have to pay to get information from public officials.
Now, the amended version of the bill does give agencies even more time to respond to your public records request. Assemblywoman Pacheco argues they need it.
Agencies across the state are experiencing a sharp increase in requests that are exceptionally broad.
Meanwhile,
it's so hard to just send over a PDF.
So they're trying to turn it into a labor issue where we can't make the fat people in the purple T-shirts work any harder because they're going as fast as they can.
Yep.
We're still waiting for that baby-to-baby contract. Now 60 days and counting.
And here we are.
For CBS California Investigates, I'm Julie Watts.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Julie Watts is one of the best reporters that we have in the state of California. In a one-party state with a supermajority in the legislature, the only defense that we have are incredible reporters like her, like Ashley Zavala, Matthew Seedorf in Southern California. It's really the only defense that we have against all of this straight-up corruption.
I'll tell you, we live in a one-party state where the Democrats control everything. And the first partner, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, is a very beautiful woman. She's a pretty lady. She is not used to people saying no to her. She's not. And you get sloppy after a certain point in time because the answer is always yes. You live a life where it's nothing but green lights. And when you live a life where it's nothing but green lights and no one ever says no to you, your morals get cloudy. Wouldn't it be something if the first partner ended up being the one that derails Gavin Newsom's presidential ambitions?
Well, she's already given him a lot of unwanted attention. You got to remember, a lot of these investigations into the Newsoms are having to do with her charities. And don't forget, a couple of months ago at a press conference where the state was going to give a whole bunch of extra funding to Planned Parenthood, that when Gavin Newsom was being asked a very legitimate question by Ashley Zavala, it was Jen Newsom who grabs the mic out of Gavin's hands and goes after the press for asking questions of the governor at a press conference.
Oh, yeah. Now the blood is in the water because the feds are looking at her. She got nasty with the California Press Corps, and now the state won't release documents related to projects that she has involvement in. She better hope she's not doing anything illegal, because at this point, if she is, I think she's a goner. And certainly we're going to be keeping an eye on all of this. It's the John Phillips Show.
For the second year in a row, Travel and Leisure has listed Santa Fe, New Mexico, as the best city to visit in the United States. They dethroned Charleston last year, and they've kept it going for a whole nother year. Whether it's the great weather, the beautiful, unique scenery, the incredible history, the art, the culture, the food, the Margarita Trail, there is so much to see and experience in Santa Fe, and it's so easy to get there. If you want to drive, it's like 12, maybe 13 hours. So, you can do it all in one shot. I have, or you can stop off in Flagstaff and do the rest of it on a second day. There's a 2-hour flight from LAX to the Santa Fe airport. It flies direct. I've taken that flight all the time on American. There are so many things to do in Santa Fe. Get the free visitor's guide and experience it for yourself at santafe.org. That is santafe.org.
It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, the comments are prolific on today's show.
Nothing makes me happier when the comment section on YouTube explodes into a whole bunch of people saying one of the phrases from this show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Including Terrell, who writes in, he will absolutely never be president, in reference to Gavin Newsom and his crooked diaper contract.
All right. We have 2.5 hours more to go on the John Phillips Show. Don't you go anywhere. It's time to talk about CarPro.com. Listener Robert contacted Tustin Hyundai because they're an authorized CarPro dealership. He wanted the transparency and structure that CarPro is known for providing. After reaching out, General Manager Frank stepped in personally. Frank applied the CarPro discount along with a $4,000 manufacturer lease incentive and handled everything clearly through the email. When Robert arrived, sales manager Rick was completely prepared with all the details. No re-explaining needed. Rick introduced him to Marcos, who made the test drive and delivery process smooth and professional. Robert says it was exactly what CarPro.com promises. No games, transparent pricing, and respect for his time. He highly recommends Tustin Hyundai to other listeners looking for a straightforward car buying experience. If you want this kind of VIP treatment and amazing pricing, go to CarPro.com, or you can call or text message Tom Haynes directly on a cell at 818-435-6797. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, a new edition of the Accountability Podcast just launched.
The Accountability Podcast with John Phillips and Randy Wang. Some people like to call it the 16th hour of this show. We just dropped a brand new episode today talking about San Francisco trying to ban whippets, California's ever-worsening insurance crisis, and Costco opening a standalone gas station in Mission Viejo. You can give it a listen if you like to do that by searching for the Accountability Podcast on iHeartRadio. You can also search for, KABC on Apple Podcasts. Go to KABC.com or KSFO.com. You can also find it there. But if you want to watch it just like you watch this, go to YouTube. YouTube.com/@accountability-podcast. We are currently up to 191 subscribers on the YouTube channel. We'd love to see that hit over 200 by the end of today's show. So if you haven't subscribed yet to the Accountability Podcast, make sure you do so. And then at 3 o'clock when we sign off, you've got a whole bonus hour to enjoy.
800-222-5222 is a telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Two Christian flight attendants, Lacey Smith and Marley Brown, were fired by Alaska Airlines after they shared their religious beliefs on an employee website. The airline had asked workers to comment on a new law, a law called the Equality Act. Lacey asked a simple question about regulating morality. Marley shared her faith-based concerns about how the law might affect women, girls, and people of faith. Both women had great work records, but the airline called their comments, quote, hateful, offensive, and discriminatory, and then fired them. With the help of the First Liberty Institute, the flight attendants sued the airline and their own union for religious discrimination. Earlier this month, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, which is known as being one of the most liberal courts in the nation, ruled in their favor. The court said there was enough evidence for a jury to decide if the airline and the union treated them unfairly because of their faith. The case will now go back to trial. Joining us to talk about this is the senior counsel with the First Liberty Institute, Stephanie Tubb. You can find them online at firstliberty.org and follow them on X at firstliberty_. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, first of all, congratulations on being successful under very difficult circumstances, because the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is known for being one of the most liberal courts in the entire nation, and you guys cleaned Alaska's clock along with the union.
Well, it's hard to escape some of these pretty incredible facts in this case. I mean, we have a union that's supposed to be representing its members, flight attendants, the American Association of Flight Attendants Union. And instead of representing them, it really reveals their state of mind. One of the union representatives wrote to other union representatives, "Can we please get someone to shut down comments or put Marley and Lacey in a burlap bag and drop them down a well?" So there was an incredible amount of anti-religious hostility directed toward Marley and Lacey, and I think that made the result here inescapable.
If the union representative called for the two flight attendants who they disagreed with to be murdered, is that person still working there?
As far as I'm not sure, but I haven't heard that she's not.
Because it's wild that you could get fired for politically disagreeing with the company that you work for, but you can call for your coworkers to be murdered and you can be okay.
That's right. If you look at the comments that Marley and Lacey posted, it's really clear that it's just outright hostility toward them and their religious beliefs. Lacey posted, "As a company, do you think it's possible to regulate morality?" And this was in response to the company's posting about the Equality Act, which was proposed legislation in 2021. That was it. That was her whole post. And then Marley's post, as you mentioned, it was a little longer, about a paragraph, but she was expressing her really sincere concerns that the Equality Act would open up women's private spaces in a way that wasn't safe, and also the impacts on people of faith who hold different beliefs about these things.
I assume what she was referring to is transgendered athletes in girls' sports, or transgendered individuals entering women's bathrooms, those sorts of things. When you look at the polls, those aren't issues that are closed. Those are issues where something like 80% of the public sides with these two flight attendants. So it's not like they took some boutique, strange political stance that no one in the country has taken. The stance that they took is the majority stance.
That's right. And then when lots came out during the discovery period, we have one of the VPs at Alaska saying that it was discriminatory for Marley to use the term opposite sex, because that implies that there's only two sexes. So it's also a very extreme position to say that it's discriminatory to hold those beliefs. We've got conversations behind the scenes between Alaska officials saying that employees are, quote, not allowed to hold certain beliefs about the Equality Act. And it's just incredible.
Why in the world would the company solicit comments from their employees about a political issue that's being debated in the Congress unless they understood that there would be some people who disagree with them, and if asked, might post something that the company doesn't like?
That's a great question, but they announced over and over again on their website that they welcomed respectful disagreement. They posted that they wanted diverse views. And just a week earlier, there was a pretty robust debate in the comment section about other DEI initiatives. But here, when they posted about their support about the Equality Act, they opened it up for comments. And then when Marley and Lacey posted from their religious perspective, they were fired.
I fly Alaska on occasion because I live in Southern California. They're big on the Pacific Coast. And I've seen gate agents and I have seen flight attendants with BLM pins and BLM shirts and BLM paraphernalia with the Alaska Airlines logo on it. Is this a company that has gone so far off the deep end in one direction that they are just, I guess, rotting internally?
Well, it certainly evidences religious discrimination and against our clients, against people who hold different beliefs than some of the people in the C-suite. And so we are grateful for the Ninth Circuit recognizing the amount of evidence here is definitely or is clearly enough to go to a jury trial. And so that's exactly what we plan on doing, is taking this case to a jury, and we're confident that they will also find that this is religious discrimination.
I wonder if they have any idea how bad this looks optically, because again, we're in Los Angeles, we're in San Francisco here, we're in two of their hubs. They probably have a lot of customers who are listening to this conversation that we're having. If one of their employees said that they think it's appropriate to murder another employee because their political beliefs are not the same, and the company itself believes that it's okay to fire people because they disagree with you politically, as a customer, that puts you in an odd place because you go, okay, well, if they think it's okay to kill people who they disagree with, then why should they have those different attitudes towards the customers than they do towards their own employees? If given the opportunity, would they put our safety in jeopardy because this is the way they see the world, where that sort of behavior is appropriate?
Yeah, I mean, and it's also the double standard too, because we also put forth evidence that there was another flight attendant who posted Christians who think like this should be kicked in the teeth or punched in the teeth, one of those. And that flight attendant was reported, but only given the lowest level of discipline, was not treated the same way that the Christians, Marley and Lacey, were when they posted their perspective. They went straight to termination, Marley did. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's an unbelievably bad look for the company. And it's wild to me because post George Floyd, a lot of companies went in this direction where they went super woke and they fired people for doing things like this, and they didn't seem to care. And then the backlash started happening. Then Trump gets elected in 2024. Then you see movement in places like Silicon Valley. Elon buys X. And you see changes going on in that industry in Northern California. And a lot of companies started changing with the times. A lot of companies understood that their customer base is not as woke as maybe the people who work for the company, and they're going to lose their customer base if they don't figure out a way to reflect reality. And it seems like this is a company that's just Alaska Airlines, that's just digging in their heels, that they hate Christians, they hate Republicans, they'll fire you if they don't like your political beliefs. I assume that they'll find ways to punish customers if they disagree with what they're saying, if you wear something that they don't like or that sort of thing. And it just seems like they're being more than reckless for their shareholders, for the people who invest in the company, for the people who depend on that company to make a profit, when they're behaving this recklessly. The fact that no one has been fired within that company for this kind of behavior is beyond my ability to comprehend. Where are the shareholders?
That is a fantastic question. And the world, you're absolutely right. The world has changed quite a bit since this started in 2021. But we are so proud at First Liberty Institute to represent Marley and Lacey and all of our clients just for their bravery and their stand. Because one of the main reasons why our clients bring these lawsuits is so that this won't happen to other people, so that people are aware of their rights and that we can take this opportunity to clarify the law. The law protects people, employees of faith at work. So employers cannot and should not fire you just because they hold different religious beliefs. And that's what's going on here. And we have this excellent opinion from the Ninth Circuit that we're hopeful will protect other employees of faith across the entire circuit.
This is a highly regulated industry, anything involving aviation. You have the FAA that determines, for example, how many hours of rest a flight attendant needs before they can work. Pilots, the same thing. Other industries are not like that. The Trump administration, including Harmeet Dillon, who comes from here in California, who is in charge of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, has spoken out very forcefully against companies who are doing exactly this sort of thing. And I would imagine she feels the same way about labor unions that are doing this exact sort of thing. Have we heard any noise coming out of the Department of Justice about them coming down on Alaska Airlines like a ton of bricks? Because it seems like the feds should be going through all of their correspondence with a fine-tooth comb and punishing the company and punishing the union from the point of view of the federal government for this sort of abuse.
That is a fantastic question. I would be open to those conversations, but I haven't heard anything to that effect so far.
Well, maybe we'll have to call Harmeet about that, because this is something that should certainly be on her radar. Now, the court gave you permission to move forward with your lawsuit. Has the company reached out trying to settle? Has the union reached out trying to settle with you guys? Because I would imagine that if this goes to trial, this is going to go from bad to worse. We're already getting emails now, people coming in saying this is Alaska Airlines Bud Light moment. I would imagine that they would prefer that this correspondence remain relatively private and not on the front page of the newspaper, and they're willing to pay a pretty penny to make this go away. Have they reached out to you, or is their wokeness causing them to dig in their heels?
Well, we'll certainly keep you posted if we hear anything on that front. You're right that is sometimes what happens in these cases, but we don't have anything to announce at this point.
Well, I can tell you, this is one of the reasons I show up to jury duty, because if I showed up to jury duty here, I would want to bankrupt this company.
Well, we'd hope you are on the jury, but it's going to be in probably the Seattle area.
All right. Well, hopefully they do get bankrupted if they take this to trial. Stephanie Tubb, Senior Counsel with the First Liberty Institute. You can get her online at firstliberty.org and follow her on X at firstliberty_. Excellent, excellent, excellent work, and we'll definitely check in with you again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. Let's go to Jane, who's listening in Southern California. Jane, hello.
Hi, is this John?
This is.
Hi. Yeah, I'm a flight attendant for Alaska in Southern California. And I was almost terminated for making a Facebook post regarding someone I can't really mention because I was almost terminated and I don't want this to get back to me. But it is a very woke company, and if you do not follow the line, you will be terminated.
Well, it seems like a hostile work environment for the employees who work there. It seems like the union is just as bad as the company. And here's what I don't understand, because they sell tickets to Republicans, they sell tickets to Democrats, they sell tickets to people of all political persuasions. If they think it's okay to treat people who are right of center that way, as a passenger, why should I think that they feel any different about me? Why would anyone want to fly an airline where you know that the management hates your guts and would prefer that you be dead? I don't understand how they think that that's a good look for their customers, let alone their employees.
Yes, I agree with that. I know I've been working for them for 26 years, and ever since President Trump started to run for office, the liberals and the queers could post anything vile, nasty, disgusting that they wanted to regarding President Trump. But if you were on the other side, you were called in, and they wanted to even put, like myself, through their attorneys to try and hang on to my job.
Yeah, it's totally outrageous. And I'll tell you, and I mentioned this to the attorney, Harmeet Dillon, who comes from California, who I'm sure flew Southwest Airlines a whole bunch because her law practice was in San Francisco before she became a federal employee. She's in charge of the Department of Civil Rights at the Department of Justice. That union should be investigated. That company should be investigated. All of those emails, all of that correspondence, all of the abuse that their employees have faced from that company, from them discriminating against people because of their religion, because of their politics, all of that should be investigated. And they should have to go to Washington, D.C. and explain themselves.
As well as the COVID vaccine.
All right. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Yeah, I know that was one of the companies that required people to take it. But it's one of these companies, and it happened after George Floyd, where there are just certain corporations that went crazy, and it seems like a lot of them, I mean, look at the damage control that Bud Light did to try to come back to a point to where they're not regarded as being particularly political. And that's what most of the corporations did after they realized they went too far. But Alaska Airlines hasn't. And Alaska Airlines still has their foot on the gas pedal. And I'll tell you, it seems like the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals at least believes that they were way out of line. Maybe the federal government needs to do the same thing. Thank you for the call. And sorry you have to work for a company that harasses you for your politics and religion. All right, we've got 2 more hours coming up on the John Phillips Show. The Fix California hour is next. Don't you go anywhere.
Something's not right here.
Crime is up all over the state.
The homelessness in the city is out of control.
The economy is sick. Taxes are high.
Housing is expensive and businesses are leaving. California needs fixing. And John Phillips is just the man to lead the charge. It's the Fix California Hour with John Phillips and Randy Wang.
And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, we are broadcasting live on the radio on 790 KABC in Southern California, 810 KSFO in the Bay Area, but we're also now live video streaming. We're at YouTube at Randy Wang Radio. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like button. It means a lot for the algorithms, gets more people to see this show. If you're on X at Johnny Don't Like, give it a retweet, give it a share. If you're on Facebook at KABC or Facebook at KSFO, hit that share button, the little arrow. Post it on your feed. We would really appreciate it as we are growing our video audience every single day. You can comment in the chat room, react with all the stories as we react to them. It is really an incredibly interactive experience that we're bringing you every single day from noon to 3.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. The state of California is changing its mental health diversion program next year.
The mental health diversion law that was passed many years ago, which allowed criminal defense attorneys and public defenders to make up an illness as to the reason that you robbed the 7-Eleven, even if you didn't have a diagnosis, and instead of going to jail, you would get mental health treatment. And any mental illness would do. You could say the reason that you drove a Kia into a jewelry store was because you had ADHD. I'm not even exaggerating. That's what was happening. Well, a new law was just passed to hopefully crack down on all of those abuses. For more on this, we go to ABC 10 in Sacramento.
At the start of next year, California's mental health diversion program will change.
Yeah, the program was established in 2018, but there's a new push at the Capitol to narrow down who qualifies for it.
ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Ha breaks down the years-long debate on incarceration versus treatment.
Well, we did incarceration for a while. Then we've done treatment for a while. I think we can compare and contrast at this point.
And when they go, well, putting them in jail doesn't necessarily fix their underlying problem, my response is, who cares? It keeps them from robbing the target.
You may have heard of California's mental health diversion program. It's focused on rehabilitation and treatment rather than incarceration. But some lawmakers say there are dangerous loopholes and that reforms are needed.
We believe that the mental health diversion program is a good program, but it needs to be good for the right individual.
Democratic Assemblymember Stephanie Wynn has been pushing for an update to the mental health diversion program. Wynn and public safety advocates say currently judges are not given enough authority to deny diversion even when the defendants should not be eligible.
And law enforcement and district attorneys have been sounding the alarm on this. This went nowhere in the legislature last year, but thanks to the advocacy of DAs in Sacramento like Tin Ho and DAs like Brooke Jenkins in San Francisco and sheriffs like Jim Cooper, who has become quite an important voice on all these issues, this time it finally got past the finish line.
Well, it's like what was going on in San Francisco, where you had people who were dealing fentanyl, and they were told, okay, just say you were human trafficked here, and then you're going to get out all the punishment.
Gravity writes in, I suggest behavioral health change the name to the Department of Safety and Happiness, just so we have another fun show down the road.
As originally written, the law stripped judges.
That guy ran for Congress, and there were no takers. I guess I'll have to stick to being DA.
Of sound discretion, created dangerous loopholes in accountability, invited manipulation.
I ever tell you the story about Tin Ho? You were on vacation. I was filling in for you. And we were doing an hour of calls on the kinds of music that LA Metro should play at MacArthur Park Station to drive away the bums. And Tin Ho was so offended by the callers that he canceled the interview.
Well, if you're a candidate for Congress and you're not doing interviews on radio stations that service your district, you might not win the election.
Les Siegel had to text me. He canceled.
By those seeking to game the system.
Wynn's Assembly Bill 46, signed into law by the governor, seeks to change that.
Judges now have the ability to be judges and correctly judge if someone is truly a legitimate candidate.
California.
Now, that sounds great, but ask the DA in San Francisco how helpful the judges are in circumstances like this.
Oh, sometimes the judges are the worst ones in the system.
But what is true, and if you do have a common sense judge, and there are plenty of common sense judges in other counties, is that the way the law was written, that's been in effect for quite a few years now, is that the judge had no say. You did not need any kind of proof. You did not need any kind of diagnosis. If the defense attorney or the public defender straight up said mental illness, you get your diversion.
Great.
California's mental health diversion program allows those with qualifying mental health disorders to receive treatment instead of having to serve time. Upon completion of treatment, the charges are typically dismissed and records wiped clean.
It's the public's safety, right? It's the community safety that is at risk here, and I think everybody understood that. But also preserve.
Well, they didn't understand it last year, but things have changed.
I'm telling you, and we talk about this in the accountability podcast when it comes to the whippets. It seems like things work in waves. And for a long time, we were decriminalizing everything and we were allowing all the bad behavior because we didn't want over-incarceration. And now, even though it's baby steps, we are starting to correct it.
The mental health diversion program was important as well.
But opponents say the bill will likely deny treatment for those who need it, ultimately reducing public safety.
Okay. The changes in the law are pretty simple. A judge can say no, and you have to have an actual diagnosis within 5 years of your mental illness. That doesn't sound like a big ask.
It's like going to 6th grade math class. They're just asking for you to show your work.
People funneled into jail rather than into treatment.
What the hell kind of filter does she have on her Zoom?
I don't know, but she looks like she just got shot with a tranquilizer gun.
Oh, she's got her pronouns in there.
Have higher rates of recidivism. They don't get the treatment they need.
Well, does it count as recidivism if the person never even goes into jail or prison because they went to an outpatient mental health program? We have so many documented stories of people that were on mental health diversion that went on to commit other crimes. We've done them in the crime blotter over and over and over again because there is so many loopholes when it comes to this law.
I think that's what them wants.
Meantime, there's another diversion reform being pushed by Republican State Senator Shannon Grove. Wynn and the district attorney say they support this bill too. It seeks to mandate evidentiary hearings when diversion is being considered. Though Grove wanted to add more exclusions like human trafficking and child abuse.
Yeah, shouldn't there be specific categories of crimes where, oh, I don't care if you're crazy, you're going away?
You'd think.
She says she had to heavily amend the bill for it to pass the Assembly Public Safety Committee.
I find it difficult.
This is the same Public Safety Committee where she went to war with them last year over them trying to stop from becoming a felony if someone picked up a 16 or a 17-year-old for the purposes of sex.
That year, it was like every article that came out of that committee was from The Onion.
Yep.
Understand.
And something happened that doesn't usually happen in California. The locals paid attention, the locals spoke up, and the Assembly Public Safety Committee was shamed into doing their job. And that law did get passed.
Well, and also, don't forget, the guy that was the chairman of that committee, Reggie Jones Sawyer, who comes from Los Angeles and was so awful at killing so many of those bills, termed out of office, and he was replaced with someone else.
He ran for LA City Council because that's what you do on the musical chairs that is term limits. And I think he came in 4th or 5th.
Good.
why it's so hard to protect victims and women and children in this state.
We spoke to a former state senator, one of the creators of the diversion program. He emphasizes the goal was to reduce crime and state prison population.
If we did treat a large number of people through the court system where they could be identified as needing treatment, it would reduce recidivism and reduce crime.
How exactly does saying you have ADHD just make you someone that does not follow under the same levels of accountability as the rest of us?
You notice he's still talking about this in terms of theory and not in terms of what we know to be true now that we've been doing it for some time.
Well, and you've talked about this before. Look at specifically one of the big proponents of these reforms was Jim Cooper, who's been the sheriff of Sacramento for a very long time. But, John, he used to be in the legislature, and he was singing a very different tune.
And now that he's the sheriff of Sacramento County, he found Jesus real fast.
As soon as you go from the theory, which you have to talk about in the legislature, to the reality of what these laws do, you become a very different kind of person.
What's the old saying? Where you stand depends on where you sit.
The senator says it was not intended for violent offenders and that he supports both Grove and Wynn's reforms.
And if you commit those kinds of crime, you're more than welcome to stay there for the rest of your life.
Wynn's bill will take effect at the start of next year, and Grove's bill...
You hear that, crazies? You've got 6 months to commit all the crimes you want.
Don't tell them.
...will continue to move through the legislative process. At the state capitol, Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
So there you go. That's what's going on with the changes to California's mental health diversion law.
And Randy, we also have an update on California's 911 system, which has been under fire for quite some time for not working the way it's supposed to.
They called it Next Gen 911, but of course, nothing about it was truly next gen, because Gavin Newsom put one of his buddies in charge who ignored every single red flag the engineers said this program is not ready for prime time. They implemented it anyway, and it was a disaster. Well, because Next Gen 911 has been such a disaster, we are currently still spending $3 million a month to keep the old 911 system going while we still work out the kinks on the new 911 system.
So it doesn't work, and it's costing a fortune.
Yep. For more on the Next Gen 911 nightmare, there's some alliteration for you. Here is NBC in the Bay, who has been all over this story for years.
$3 million a month. That's how much Californians are paying for new digital 911 services that the state says we're not even using a lot of the time. California is moving away from that tech.
We could really use some real auditing in the state. And a lot of these things, we actually have state audits that show how much money we waste, but the governor and the legislature ignore the audits.
Technology because they haven't been able to make it work reliably. So why are we still paying millions for it monthly? Senior investigator Candace Wynn followed the money to find the answers.
For over a year, the state has been in an expensive transition, pivoting to a different approach to digitizing our 911 network. The high-priced project called Next Generation 911 has had a lot of problems. Back in 20...
You know, I have a feeling that when Gavin Newsom runs for president, he's not going to be touting his book Citizenville, which was supposed to be his roadmap to modernizing local government, because it didn't work.
And here's the thing. If you are going to give your buddies the contracts and you are going to give your unqualified friends jobs, don't do it with something important. Don't do it with the 911 system. Do it with other things that can't kill anyone. But the 911 system is actually important.
2019, the California Office of Emergency Services signed contracts with 3 regional vendors to create a statewide Next-Gen 911 network. The vendors were supposed to create systems in their own regions that work together. But some of the first 911 centers that used the new tech had problems, like misrouted and dropped calls.
And one of those areas was Rancho Mirage.
To internal records we obtained.
Californians have paid nearly $500 million
After our investigative unit exposed those issues, Cal OES announced in November it's switching from the regional approach to a single statewide network. But
the only check on the government that we have in California is the local news. So I hope that you subscribe to all of these channels because they do incredible work up and down the state.
It is. And I'll tell you, having local people answer the phones is probably the best way to do it. I think I've told this story on the air before, but I'll tell it again because I think it applies here. I was coming back from Las Vegas the back way. And if you come back the back way from Las Vegas, you go through the middle of nowhere. And there's an area on the way called CIMA, C-I-M-A, that is about as remote as you can get in the state of California. And I saw a overturned car that was there, and the person was stuck in the car. Well, it's not like there's a 7-Eleven down the road where you can go get help. You're in the middle of nowhere. So someone stopped to render aid. I continued driving until I found a payphone, which was just outside of Kelso, which is also the middle of nowhere, but there's a train station there. And you call 911, and when you get a call center in some other part of the state, they don't have any idea where CIMA is. And your cell phone doesn't work. You don't have service out there, so you can't give them the coordinates. So trying to explain to someone in a call center in some other part of the state where this overturned car was very, very difficult. Finally, they transferred me to someone in Barstow who took out their cell phone, and we could explain just exactly or describe where the person was. And it was the agent in Barstow that had the knowledge of that area who finally was able to send emergency responders out, and they saved the person's life. But 911 is something you can't fool with because frequently it is a matter of life and death.
while that transition happens, Cal OES says we are all paying for an overlap in services that comes out to roughly $1 million a month per contractor. $3 million total. And because the state doesn't want any 911 disruptions during the process, we could keep paying that extra money until next summer.
And this is why your taxes only go one way.
And that's on the projections that this thing will be up and running next year. It won't.
Which would bring the total to more than $50 million. State lawmakers tell me they're shocked.
It's so crazy. We need complete transparency about where we went wrong and what problems still exist, period. And we need to know how much money was spent and where it was spent and get some accountability for the contractors and the state agencies.
Hey, that's the name of our podcast.
How many times has it been used just so far today?
Many, 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 many times. It was actually probably better that we called it the Accountability Podcast than the
Absolutely.
podcast.
We reached out to the 3 contractors involved. NGA and Synergem responded saying their networks still provide important 911 services. Synergem told us if there is any waste as described by Cal OES, it is due to their decision to scrap a fully functional network in favor of a new architecture, which frankly has yet to be revealed. Lawmakers are scrutinizing the agency, saying they remained concerned.
We are still working on accountability.
Hey!
We got it again.
Still working on transparency. And I appreciate all of the concessions that have been made by the agency about some of the past problems and some of the results and impacts of those problems. But there is still work that needs to be done.
Last week, Governor Gavin Newsom signed SB 111, a new law now requiring an audit of the Next Generation 911 project.
I hope the audit points out that Gavin put his buddy in charge of this project in 2019, and he was woefully unqualified.
I'm sure Gavin will leave that part out.
A technical evaluation.
That guy had to resign in shame 2 years ago.
And independent oversight. Cal OES says it's pleased to work with lawmakers to move this project forward. With the investigative unit, I'm Candace Wen, NBC Bay Area News.
So there you go. That is the latest on Next Gen 911 in the state of California, which we are still paying $3 million a month to keep going while we keep going the regular system because the new system still doesn't work.
So my advice, hold off on your heart attack until they figure this out.
Uh-oh. I can't have you go to break yet. Oh, now you can't. Nope. The computer that runs the radio station's commercials is not working. Oh boy, I don't know what we do. That's a new one. I'm going to have to send an email to engineering. All right, I'm going to go to LA Engineers. I'm going to say OPEX is down. That's fun. Well, I guess one of us has a fielding law read, so we can definitely get that out of the way. Let's see, who is it right now? Is it you? Is it me? It's a Johnny read. So I'm going to go to John doing a fielding law read. Here we go.
All right. You know, when people think about serious injuries, they usually think of broken bones, something obvious. But one of the most serious injuries people deal with after an accident is actually vision loss. After a car crash, a fall, or a head injury, your eyesight can change, sometimes right away, sometimes weeks or months later. Blurry vision, double vision, headaches, trouble focusing, and a lot of times the eyes look fine, but the brain, it isn't processing what it's seeing correctly. That kind of injury impacts everything. Your work, your driving, your independence. And if someone else's negligence caused it, that's not just an inconvenience, it's a real long-term issue. That's why I trust and recommend Fielding Law. They don't just look at what's obvious, they understand brain and vision injuries and how deeply they affect your life. If you or someone you care about is dealing with vision problems after an accident, call Fielding Law at 833-88-SHARK or find them online at clarkthesharklaw.com. That's clarkthesharklaw.com. Fielding Law, kind people, serious lawyers. The Fix California Hour continues in moments. Don't you go anywhere.
I love my Solaire infrared grill. I have had it for over a year now, and I use it every week. It does a great job on steak, especially a nice flat iron, but it does a great job on a whole lot of steaks. Chicken, including chicken breasts. I used to never do chicken breasts on the grill because they dry out. They don't dry out on a hot and fast grill. You get a beautiful char, but it's still juicy on the inside. It does a great job on sausage as well, shrimp, veggies. I've had nothing but great experiences with the Solaire infrared grill. It's a much more consistent grill. And what's great is because it's so hot, I leave the lid open while I'm cooking, and I don't have any situation where the grill is flaring up and I don't realize it. In fact, I've had this thing for over a year. I have not had one flare up. This is a high quality product. Rhett Rasmussen really knows what he's doing. He builds them in his factory right here in Whittier. So check them out for yourself when you're ready to upgrade your grilling game. Go to besthotgrill.com/Randy. That's besthotgrill.com/Randy.
It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you can watch the show live and participate as well.
We are now broadcasting live on video every single day from noon to 3. It is a fully interactive experience. Not only do you get to see us and see this mug for 3 hours, but you also get to watch the videos along with us, react in real time. And we've got chat rooms going on the YouTube at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio, which if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. It really helps us out with the algorithms. Also, if you're on X at Johnny Don't Like, you can watch us there and you can comment in that chat room. We'd appreciate a retweet, a repost, whatever they're calling it now. And if you're on Facebook at KABC Radio or Facebook at KSFO, you can also watch us there. You can also comment in the chat rooms there. Hey, maybe you'll find some local like-minded friends, and make sure you share it on all those platforms. We're trying to grow this thing to get bigger and bigger and bigger every single day. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for spreading the word of how much fun you're having doing this show every day with us from noon to 3.
We also have the Accountability Podcast.
Oh, Gavin, I'm going to need you to explain that one.
Accountability.
It's the phrase that pays. It's everybody's favorite word. The Accountability Podcast with John Phillips and Randy Wang. The newest episode dropped today. You can get it by searching for the Accountability Podcast wherever you get your podcast. Or if that doesn't work for you, go to KABC.com or KSFO.com and you can find them there. But if you want to watch the Accountability Podcast, you can do so at youtube.com/@accountability podcast. An hour ago, I made an ask. I said, hey, we want to get to over 200 subscribers on that YouTube channel. We are now at 205, so our next stretch goal is going to be 250. If you haven't subscribed yet to the Accountability Podcast on YouTube, go to youtube.com/@accountability podcast. And Augie wants to know if the cashier is dummy.
If the cashier is dummy.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Chris Young with special guest Shailene at the Pacific Amphitheater at the OC Fair on July 18th. Tickets are on sale now at PACAMP.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. All concert tickets include admission to the OC Fair. Ooh, look, the person that calls for every contest we do every single day called in first. I don't think you're supposed to do that. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing.
All right, Randy, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
It's the California Crime Blotter with John
And Randy.
And Randy, this edition involves Waymos.
This is a fantastic story. So, a new trend's been popping up with the little bastards. They don't just take over Newport Beach on the 4th of July. The little bastards have decided that it's really funny to film yourself on a TikTok doing crazy stunts from inside the Waymo autonomous vehicle. We've seen this in Santa Monica where kids were like hanging on the side of the mirrors and hanging on the windows. Well, in the Bay Area in San Mateo, a bunch of little bastards thought that it would be really, really, really funny to get inside a Waymo with their water guns, start drinking alcohol in the robot car, and shoot random people with their water guns. What they did not know is that the Waymo thinked them out. The robot called the cops on them, and the robot coordinated with law enforcement, tricking the kids into thinking that the car was pulling over for maintenance, to turning these little bastards right over to the cops. Some people might be afraid of their privacy with this story. I, for one, love it. Although it does make me realize that Waymo is well have been bringing my dog in the Waymo every single time we go to Golden Gate Park in the Bay. For more on this, here is Cron 4.
Two 15-year-olds. They were detained by San Mateo police for drinking and shooting a toy gun at traffic while they were riding around.
Why does everything these days involving, and I feel like I'm old now, those damn kids involve shooting toy guns at strangers? Because, John, that's what the Alameda Beach parties are about, too. They're literally called the Assassin Games, and then they shot their water gun at the wrong person, and someone shot back with a real gun.
Yeah, I'd think twice before I pointed something that looks like a gun at someone else in this state.
A Waymo. And the self-driving cars, it turned out, tricked the kids and alerted police. KRON 4's Stephanie Rothman has the latest.
Monday afternoon around 2, San Mateo police received a call about 2 teenagers in a Waymo causing chaos. Not from a concerned neighbor, but from a Waymo taxi itself.
The robot knows what you're doing inside there, so you better be on your best behavior.
Okay, should we regard this as progress that the teens were doing this in something other than an e-bike?
Well, it's the new hot trend, but maybe this trend's not going to last very long if it ends in arrests.
After a company representative noticed the 2 teenagers riding around town, drinking and shooting from an Orbeez water gun.
They saw what they described as a firearm in the vehicle, described it black in color, and at some point believed that
the little bastards are going to ruin all this new technology for us.
Okay, now, if I recall correctly, and we're going back a while from when my brother and I used to shoot each other with Super Soaker water guns, they went out of their way to make those guns neon orange, neon green, every color other than black, so it didn't look like a real gun. Are they now back to making them black so they look like real guns?
No. In fact, they're still painted orange, but you know what the kids do? They paint them black.
Idiots.
We seriously, this upcoming generation may be the dumbest one we've raised by far, which is also not surprising because these are the COVID babies.
the passengers were firing it outside of the vehicle, even at one point saying they believed they saw a recoil.
According to San Mateo Police Communications Manager Janine Luna, a Waymo representative monitoring the situation told the passengers the car was having mechanical issues and needed to stop.
I love that the Waymo lied to the little bastards.
And I love that the Waymo outsmarted them.
Well, it's not that tough. This is an AI hive mind, and these are 14-year-olds who obviously didn't pass the 7th grade yet.
But instead, 5 police officers waited at a shopping center parking lot by El Camino Real and Highway 92.
Out of an abundance of caution, we conducted a high-risk traffic stop on the vehicle.
They didn't know if those were real guns.
I wouldn't risk it.
Waymo did disable the vehicle for us in a location that we were able to set up safely. And at that point, we pulled them out of the vehicle, searched the vehicle, and then we found what we determined to be.
I know that this isn't policy, but how badly did those police officers want to grab those kids by their ear?
Oh, yeah. Put them over their knee and just wail away.
Orbeez.
They searched the car and then detained the 2 15-year-olds, later released back to their parents. The district attorney...
Whoa. Parent.
I feel like San Mateo PD should be sending a bill to the parents for this whole ordeal.
They will now investigate pending video from Waymo, whether they press charges for drinking underage and threatening...
Wait a second. Were they pouring vodka and Powerade mixed together?
I'll tell you. Gatorade or Powerade is great after a day drinking. You do not want to use it as a mixer while drinking, though. That is a no-no.
It's a terrible idea. User Cyril on YouTube writes in, can you use a Waymo on International Boulevard at Oakland at 7 a.m.? Asking for a friend.
Behavior. Real consequences, Luna says, for what many kids see as harmless fun.
Well, it's harmless until somebody feels threatened by it, right?
Again, look at what happened at the Alameda Beach takeover. They thought it was so fun to play assassins till they shot a gang member with a water gun and then he unloaded on them.
And then the teenagers are going to play the victim.
This water gun, it's not illegal to have. What we find is happening is people are taking BB guns, toy guns, water guns, and they're painting them black to resemble real firearms. And that's the problem.
Why? What is the point of that?
Someone needs to explain to these idiots that these water guns are weird colors for your benefit so you don't get shot. You paint it black, you're the one that's going to end up getting shot.
Ridiculous.
Because to an untrained eye, you're going to believe it's a real gun.
We reached out to Waymo, but have not heard back. Reporting in San Mateo, Stephanie Rothman, KRON 4 News.
There you go. The Waymo and the people who monitor the Waymos turned in these teen little monsters from their little caper trying to trash everything around them. First of all, they thought it would be funny to film themselves drinking alcohol underage inside the Waymo. Then they thought it would be a great idea while they're inside the Waymo to take shots with their black painted water gun at random passersby, which if anybody is packing in California cars could have led to them getting shot right there on the street.
Okay, wouldn't this be a great punishment for these kids? Let's just say from here on out, anytime they see someone with large breasts in a white t-shirt with no bra, those breasts have to belong to a guy who works in radio.
That's one way to do it. Listener Landa writes in on Facebook, they better not do this in OC. Lots of CCW holders here. And Brian writes in on Facebook, never consume Four Loko or smoke meth in public. Sorry, Waymo.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
I know.
We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
It's the California Crime Blotter.
And Randy, this edition of the Blotter is similar to one that we did yesterday, but this one doesn't involve fireworks.
No, this isn't someone shooting a mortar into somebody's roof, but it is somebody setting a house on fire after an argument. What could the argument been about? Let's find out. Here's KTLA 5.
Now at 5:30, a family argument escalates from threats to harm a dog to a home nearly burning to the ground. Good evening. This is the KTLA 5 News at 5:30. I'm Cher Calvin.
And I'm Micah Oman. The chaotic scene happened in Crestline on the 4th of July when a man threatened to hurt his brother's dog before barricading himself inside, then setting the house on fire.
Sounds like a fantastic family reunion.
There's at least one good thing to come from this, though.
What's that?
There is no rotting food stench in this neighborhood after this fire.
As far as we know, I don't think they were storing any pig's feet in there.
Shelby Nelson is live in Crestline with details on the arson and reaction from neighbors. Shelby.
Hi, Sharon, Micah. Yeah, and officials with San Bernardino County Fire tell me, fortunately, they were well staffed ahead of 4th of July in anticipation of fireworks. Now, many neighbors.
So this is not far from Lake Arrowhead, Big Bear, those portions of San Bernardino County. I have a cousin who lives up there, and the only thing I can think about while I visit him at his cabin in that area is how in the world do you buy insurance? Even from the California Fair Plan, which is what he's on. Because all you see are trees. It's very difficult for emergency vehicles to get in and out of there. And the homes are nestled within the trees.
Tell me that this house that you see right behind me has been a problem house for years. They say an elderly woman who is sick, who wasn't there at the time, has lived here with her 2 adult sons. They say, thankfully, no other homes.
All right, so we got deadbeat kids that are waiting for mom to die.
Were damaged because of this fire, and it's usually windy up here, so that is good too, that it wasn't very windy when this all happened.
Whoa!
I'm telling you, an idiot starting a fire like that could cause the entire town to burn down.
Intense flames bursting from the windows and roof.
We have a 3-story single-family dwelling, smoke and fire showing all over.
It's what San Bernardino
I love that even the fire departments are now on Instagram.
County firefighters out of the Twin Peaks station responded to in the mountain community of Crestline while they were in the middle of a 4th of July parade near Lake Gregory.
The initial challenge was getting out of the parade. Had our lights on, the sirens going, everybody cheering.
Boy, can you imagine that? You finally have one day of respite. It's the 4th of July. You're being celebrated in the city parade, and you got to leave the parade early because someone's trying to burn their house down.
So what happens when you're in the parade and you just slam on the gas to get to the fire? Do you just run the person in the convertible over in front of you?
Well, when that transitioned into a response, there was a little bit of confusion from the crowd as we tried to get out.
This is no longer part of the show, folks. Get out of the way. We got stuff to do.
And we apologize for running over your assemblyman.
The parade.
When they arrive, the house appears to be fully engulfed, one of the worst fears for mountain neighbors in the heat of summer.
It was like engulfed, and my first reaction was, I have a 5-year-old son and 2 dogs. I need to get out of this house. And then immediately the tears started rolling because I felt like, wow, we could just lose everything within seconds.
Hit that there and then start knocking it down.
That morning at around 9 a.m., deputies with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department had been called to the home on Arth Drive for a disturbance. According to authorities, the man who called said that his brother, 46-year-old Clifton Bedore, who was suspected of igniting the blaze, had threatened his dog. He was later arrested after refusing to leave the home. Deputies put out one fire upstairs but discovered a larger fire in the downstairs area, prompting the need for firefighters.
So the brother decides, I'm going to burn it all down.
Idiot.
Looked around and out of the windows, flames. And they're heading for my house, just starting to touch. I'm yelling to get my son-in-law. He comes out, get my daughter, boy, and then he grabs a hose.
It was a close call for next-door neighbor Michael Burgess. He and many
I'm going to imagine that these neighbors have had a disturbance or two from that house in the past.
Can you imagine the stories this guy must have?
others tell us the woman who lives here is elderly and sick. She's gone, but her sons live here, and that there are always problems ranging from arguments to substance abuse.
Oh, you don't say. I didn't realize meth was involved in this I'm going to burn down my house story.
You know what this is? This is the white trash, methed out version of whatever happened to Baby Jane.
One brother already, he was threatening to do this about 4 or 5 months ago.
Court records show Bedore has a troubled past with at least one.
So what, they thought he was crying wolf? No, this time I'm really going to burn the house down. Sure you are, Clifton.
Prior felony conviction. He's been charged with felony arson. Now, Bedore is being held on $1 million bail. He has a video arraignment that is scheduled out of Rancho Cucamonga tomorrow. And according to the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office, he has a prior strike that is connected to an assault case dating back to 2018. Reporting live in Crestline, I'm Shelby Nelson, KTLA 5 News.
Just sounds like a fantastic kid right there.
Oh, yeah. Real winner. We've got one more hour coming up on The John Phillips Show. Don't you go anywhere.
with the right context. It's the John Phillips Show.
And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
Well, this is a first. The video feed is just working perfectly, and it's the radio station that's not. Everything's fine now. But hey, we're broadcasting live on the radio on 790 KABC in Southern California and 810 KSFO in the Bay Area. We are also streaming live on video every single day from noon to 3. You can watch us, you can react to the videos along with us, and you can also comment in the chat. We've got a chat room going on youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. If you're on that channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. It makes a big deal. If you're on X, you can get Johnny at JohnnyDon'tLike. Make sure you repost the feed if you can do that for us. And if you're on Facebook, go to Facebook.com/@KBCRadio or Facebook.com/KSFO, and you can hit the share button and post it there. We want to try to get this show in front of as many people as possible because we're having a good time, and you're having a good time, too.
And if you watch the show, you can see that today Randy's wearing a gray T-shirt, and I'm wearing a blue golf shirt. And earlier in the week, I showed the picture of the decorated golf cart on 4th of July that included a life-size Betsy Ross sex doll.
I don't think I can find that really quickly. Oh, I can. I can find it really quickly. Here we go. In case people missed it, this is the golf cart picture that Johnny has shared on the show.
I don't even know where you'd go about buying a Betsy Ross sex doll.
Well, Johnny, a wise man once said there's a kink for anything.
They probably bought it from China along with everything else. All right. We know that fire victims trying to rebuild their homes, the process is moving at a glacier's pace. But, Randy, it doesn't look like there's any help on the horizon.
The pace of the rebuild in the Eaton Canyon area and the Pacific Palisades is at a crawl. We have updates on everything that's going on related to the fires now that we are at the 18-month point. Let's first check in with the survivors of the Altadena fire in Eaton Canyon. Here is CBS Los Angeles. Hey, Johnny, the logo that they're about to put on the screen for Rebuilding SoCal, what's the second word after recovery?
Accountability.
It has been a year and a half since the LA wildfires destroyed thousands of homes and businesses.
For many survivors, the dream of rebuilding is still a long way from reality.
If at 18 months we're still at nowhere, then at what point does this community actually come back?
That's why I'm saying if I was a victim, I would just move on because there's no end in sight.
Fire destroyed more than 6,800 structures in all. The city of LA says it's issued 29 certificates of occupancy for rebuilt homes, and the county has issued.
So for just the Palisades, we're at a rebuild a year and a half later of 0.4%. And this is considered record pace.
One in an unincorporated area, that's less than 1%.
Well, slowly but surely, we have seen Pacific Palisades rise from the ashes. SkyCal flew over the Palisades burn zone this afternoon. You can compare the immediate aftermath of the wildfire on the top left of your screen and below it, what 6 months of recovery looked like last July. In fact, we flew today.
And the Eaton fire destroyed more than 9,000 structures, and a little more than 100 homes have been rebuilt there. That's
okay. So unincorporated LA County is doing a little better than the city of LA, but it's still 1% of homes have been rebuilt.
Pathetic.
In 18 months. And after everyone said, local, state, even the feds, we're going to move heaven and earth to get people back in their homes, it's not happening. Of course, you ask the majority of the people, what's the biggest holdup? Oh, 18 months later, they're still dealing with their insurance company.
Well, it has to be the insurance companies and the government because not everyone can hire my contractor.
just a little more than 1%.
CBS LA's Jasmine Veal is live in Altadena with a closer look at where Eaton Fire survivors stand on the road to recovery. Jazz?
Yeah, Pat, just take a look at this map behind me here inside the Eaton Fire Collaborative. It just shows you the scope of the devastation, right? All of that red indicating every home that was destroyed. But
that is spooky to watch.
It's all red. This looks like voting precincts in Utah.
in between, they have now started putting these little blue stickers of homes that have been rebuilt. Yes, there are not many on the board right now, and fire survivors tell me these numbers tell only a part of the story.
Okay, let's just assume for 1 minute that you're able to get everything done quickly. Clean up the debris, get the permits, get the money from your insurance company, find the right contractor, rebuild. Do you want to live in a community where everything else looks like a bomb just went off?
Doesn't seem like a very appetizing prospect, that's for sure.
This is where our dog loved to play ball.
Standing on the lot where her Altadena home once stood, Alma Apodaca holds one of the few things that survived the Eaton fire, a small Buddha statue.
And it's overlooking everything. I don't know. It makes me feel better.
Everything else was reduced to ash. Now, a year and a half later, she's still waiting for the chance to rebuild.
We just started. We literally got into permitting about a week ago.
We're just moving so fast, aren't we?
A year and a half later, they're still dealing with the regulatory process.
Apparently, they just started the regulatory process, which tells me that it took 18 months to settle up with their insurance company.
Says she expected the first year after the fire to be difficult. She never imagined year 2 would be even harder.
You're supposed to get over the fact that your house burned. You're supposed to find a rental. You're supposed to rebuild your new house, and it happens all within 36 months. That's like, how does that happen?
And she's far from alone. A new survey by the Victims Assistance nonprofit, the Department of Angels, paints a sobering picture of the recovery 18 months later. 2 out of every 3 fire survivors remain displaced. Nearly half have already lost or will lose their insurance housing coverage within the next year. And just 28% who lost homes are
Oh, yeah, all those emergency moratoriums that Ricardo Lara put in place that, you can't drop people that have been in a fire disaster zone. Well, those time limits are coming up real soon. And you think State Farm is going to renew any of those policies?
Good job, Ricardo.
Confident they'll fully recover.
We're at a year and a half, and a lot of people need to be out by the end of the month. Where are they going to go? Without a doubt, there's going to be hundreds on the street.
Remember back in April when the county was about to send a 2-year property tax bill to all these people and then decided, you know what? That's heartless. Instead, we'll defer it until 2030, and they'll have to pay 5 years of property taxes all at once.
The unions want their money.
Nick Arnzen is on the Altadena Town Council and also lost his home in the Eaton fire. He and other community advocates have been pushing for insurance accountability and mental health resources. He says there has been movement, though.
Just over half of the losses have now put in their plans for permits.
Others say what's keeping Altadena moving forward isn't paperwork, it's the people.
So we have diapers, we have strollers here.
I know where you can get some diapers.
They might be overpriced, but they bought a lot of them.
Sometimes we have air filters.
The Eaton Fire Collaborative has grown into a coalition of more than 200 organizations, coordinating everything from rebuilding resources and financial.
Hey, wait, that's Gavin's crooked nonprofit.
Baby to baby. Look at that.
Assistance to emotional support. Organizers say it's become one of the fastest large-scale wildfire recoveries in recent history.
Myself, I don't know how to navigate a disaster, so we can connect you here at the Collaboratory with a disaster case manager. Then they walk with you. We say they walk with you home.
Apodaca says even if the road home has taken longer than she ever imagined, with many of her neighbors never coming back, she's not giving up. Yeah, and back here live, every month the Collaborative tells me they change out this art installation. For example, right behind me, just some of the faces here are the fire survivors. And of course,
can we focus a little less on the artwork of the place where people are getting their lives put back together and more on the putting their lives back together?
It's good to see they focus on what's important.
many of those items that were lost to the Eaton fire. The collaborative helps, they say, over the last 18 months, more than 30,000 people. And every month here, they see 6,000 visitors. Live here in Altadena, Jasmine Veal, CBS LA.
Pretty powerful, Jasmine. Thank you.
So that's what's going on in Eaton Canyon. 1% of homes that have been burned down in the Eaton Canyon fire have been rebuilt. 1%.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if your home burned down in that fire and you're expecting Karen Bass and the County of Los Angeles and others to move heaven and earth to get you back in a home, you're never getting out of that Hampton Inn. Ever. I hope you like the waffles.
I was about to say the same stupid joke.
They are good. Sometimes they have apple cinnamon.
Well, John, that's what's going on in Eaton Canyon. Let's see how the Palisades is doing. Here's a report from Fox 11 and our buddy Matthew Seedorf.
Tonight marks exactly a year and a half since the deadly Palisades fire. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf is in the Palisades with a look at the rebuild. Matthew?
Finally got a break from Boyle Heights, buddy.
Yeah, but the air is poisonous over there, too.
Christine, this is what we're now seeing in the Palisades. A lot of empty lots still out here, but other homes are now under construction. Of the thousands of properties destroyed, less than 30 families are able to return home.
And this is being touted as a success.
Well, it's that Karen Bass can-do spirit.
Karen Bass fails on this. Gavin Newsom fails on this. The federal government isn't doing a damn thing about this either.
Well, the thing about insurance, which is the immediate problem that these homeowners are having, the feds do not regulate insurance. The feds can deal with the EPA. The feds can deal with other federal agencies. But what you need immediately is money. Because without the money, how do you get the permits? How do you hire a contractor? How do you do all of the things that you need to do to rebuild? And that's all regulated at the state level. Of all the elected officials that we have in the state of California who have failed us, the insurance commissioner is at the top of the list because he could have these companies scared to death. He could be burning up their phones. He could be threatening them with all kinds of regulation. He could be doing whatever he could do with the power of that office to force them. And again, I want to be clear here. We're not asking for anything other than what was in those contracts. But it's the job of the state of California and the California Department of Insurance to require that these companies fulfill their obligations in contracts with homeowners that they themselves signed. And they're refusing to do that, and no one's forcing them to.
I'm very kind of sketched.
Oh, we know.
Sounds of rebuilding now echoing across Pacific Palisades. 18 months after the fire destroyed almost everything.
In a lot of ways, it feels like it's been a day, and then in a lot of ways, it feels like it's been every day of those 18.
Now exactly a year and a half later, some lots are still empty, while others are finally rising from the ashes. And a few appear almost done.
Nice to see some houses going up, but there's a lot more to go. It's a mess around here.
City of LA data shows of the almost 6,000 homes destroyed in the Palisades fire, 1,419 have now been issued rebuilding permits.
So only 25% of the homes have a permit, let alone beginning the rebuilding process.
This is beyond pathetic.
Karen Bass will tell you, hey, we're faster than Lahaina.
Well, that's an island.
Properties have received certificates for occupancy.
It's going slower than I think is.
Hey, look at this guy. He's got a Pratt hat.
I love it.
Being reported out there.
Michael Geller lost both his home and business to the fire.
This is the original sign. We were able to recover it. We had it resurfaced and refinished.
But the sign that survived now hangs inside his new store as they open their doors again.
It feels like it was just yesterday and now we're back, which is kind of a good thing, but also kind of tough to swallow that a whole year and a half has gone by and we're kind of still in this position.
For many here, recovery has been slow and the pain hasn't faded. But With every new foundation, the Palisades takes another step forward.
It's just been a long ordeal.
Yeah, and the city really let us down.
They say what.
And we're going to keep the same idiots back in charge in November, aren't we?
Well, what's wild is at the city council level, that area did what they needed to do. They probably have the best member of the LA City Council representing them in Tracy Park. But in terms of the mayoral election, you have the person who was in charge throughout this disaster, Karen Bass, and someone who's worse, Nithya Raman. And that is a crime that is the choice that we have, especially when city voters had the option of Spencer Pratt in the primary, and they chose a socialist and a communist instead.
It's going to be a fun November.
Doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, and that's just how we've been rolling along.
In a lot of ways, it is hard to believe that it's now been a year and a half, but it's good to see construction picking up. We're live in Pacific Palisades tonight. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
So there you go. That is the update on what's going on in the Pacific Palisades. Rebuilding is very, very slow. Only 30 homes have been cleared for people to move back in a year and a half later.
I would like to know, of those displaced by the fires, where did they end up? I bet you a lot of them ended up in Orange County or out of state. I bet you very few of them, knowing what they know about Los Angeles government, relocated to other portions of the city.
Well, and we kind of have data to back that up. This county of Los Angeles, which is a 10 million person county, had a population drop of 50,000 people from 2025 to 2026. 50,000 people, which could be a lot of the people that lost their homes in these fires.
Yeah, and you have to go through something like this to really understand how bad your government is. And I would imagine that many of them are like so many other Californians. And by that, I mean people who don't pay very close attention to local government. But when you're forced to deal with government and their inefficiencies up close and personal, it's impossible to deny. It's impossible to ignore.
That's what we have seen in the last 18 months, as very little help is going to help the thousands and thousands of victims that are still dealing with this every single day.
Okay, so I just asked that question to Grok, and the answer kind of surprises me, actually. After the Palisades fire, victims mostly relocated within the greater Los Angeles area. The statistical breakdown is based on available data from FEMA, the Red Cross, and local reports. 65 to 70% stayed in Los Angeles County. They don't have a distinction between LA County and LA City, but 65 to 70% stayed in the county.
A lot of them went to Santa Monica. I do know that.
Yes. Santa Monica and Culver City and the South Bay are the top three. 15 to 20% moved to neighboring counties, including Ventura County. A bunch of them ended up in Simi Valley and Thousand Oaks, Orange County, and then Riverside and San Bernardino counties, the Inland Empire, a lot in Palm Springs. 10 to 15% left Southern California altogether, where some went to other parts of California, including the Bay Area and the Central Coast, and a smaller portion relocated out of state, primarily to Arizona, Nevada, and Texas. So there you go. It's the John Phillips Show.
I have been talking about Clark Fielding and his Jaws of Justice at Fielding Law for over 8 years on KABC. That's how long he has had our listeners back. That's how long he's had our back. Clark Fielding is a stand-up guy, and he'll stand up for you. If you get hurt in any kind of accident, call my friend Clark Fielding and the Jaws of Justice at Fielding Law at 833-88-SHARK, 833-887-4275, 833-88-SHARK. Even a minor accident can lead to a major long-term injury. So don't go at this alone. Get the Jaws of Justice on your side, helping you with your case. That's Clark Fielding at Fielding Law. 833-88-SHARK, or go to the website, clarkthesharklaw.com. That's where you can download the accident preparation guide, a handy little thing you put in your glove box. Get it today at clarkthesharklaw.com.
Hurt in an accident? Bite back. Call Clark. 833-88-SHARK. clarkthesharklaw.com.
It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you want to watch the show being performed live and participate, you can, and a lot of people are doing that.
All you got to do is there's a couple of easy places to do it. You can go to YouTube by going to youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. Hit subscribe, hit like. You will see the feed right there. You can participate in the chat room. You can go to Facebook at KABC Radio, Facebook at KSFO. You can share it on there. You can go to X at Johnny Don't Like. You can also go to Twitch at twitch.tv@RandyWangRadio. No matter how you listen, we appreciate it. And if you happen to share it with your friends or any like-minded individuals, well, we really appreciate that.
And there's also a brand new edition of the Accountability Podcast that dropped today.
You can get it at youtube.com/@accountabilitypodcast or search for the Accountability Podcast wherever you get your accountability podcasts.
Accountability, accountability, accountability.
It's the John Phillips Show. I want to read for you a portion of a 5-star review for CarPro.com from listener Scott, who loved his experience with CarPro.com and Tustin Mazda. Scott writes, quote, I followed the CarPro process and then called the dealership to get all the process started. I spoke with Jim, who told me that he would check the pricing on the CX-5 that I wanted. On Friday, he called with the pricing I wanted. I made airline reservations for Saturday. Josh, Jim's associate, followed up with me in the morning and asked if we wanted to ride from the airport to the dealership. Picked me up at the curb, took me to the dealer, and 2 hours later, my wife and I were on our way to the beach in our new car with Chick-fil-A provided by the dealer. My wife was happy that we didn't get the runaround. All went smoothly, and we love the car. If you want this kind of VIP treatment and amazing pricing, go to CarPro.com, enter your zip code and what you're looking for. Or you can call or text Tom Haynes directly on his cell phone at 818-435-6797. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com.
Look at this comment from Joseph. Watching on YouTube is amazing. Makes 3 hours seem like 3 minutes, unlike my 26-year loveless marriage. That's great.
Gilroy, California is the latest town to go to war over data centers.
This has been a trend that we have seen where the locals hear all of these things that they don't like about AI data centers, cloud services data centers, using up their water, driving up their energy bills, and they say, I don't care how many jobs this is creating. I don't care if you say you're using reclaimed water. We don't want it. And that's what happened in Monterey Park, where the voters actually said, we're banning data centers. Well, the locals in Gilroy, Garlic Town, USA, they're fed up about the data centers too. Even though a lot of these complaints are kind of unfounded, let's see what they all have to say. Here is KPIX in the Bay. Hey, that rhymed.
Right now at 5:30, members of a Bay Area community are not giving up their fight against a new data center. Construction on the facility in Gilroy is now underway, but people in town are voicing their displeasure with the project and how it was approved. Kevin Coe spoke to them about their concerns.
Landon Sepulveda is one of about 60,000 people who call Gilroy home.
It's not necessarily a small town, but people know each other and it feels like a community, right?
Okay. What do you think the odds are that this guy and so many of his friends and neighbors in Gilroy, when they make a martini, it's not the cocktail onion, it's not the twist, it's not the olive that has a pimento in it, it's not the olive with blue cheese in it, it's the olive with a clove of garlic in it.
I think that's kind of required. Luckily, you know, I'm one of those people, you can never use enough garlic. I would do very well in Gilroy.
You do very well with vampires.
And that's why I think this has all been so, blindsiding that they would do this to the community.
He's talking about this new Amazon data center, which is already under construction. He's concerned about the potential amount of water, electricity.
Now, again, this is one of the things that, some of these data centers, they're using up a lot of water because they need to power all the air conditioning to cool all the servers. But from what I have read and the research I have done, a lot of these data centers, they're using reclaimed water, which is water that's not potable, so you can't drink it anyway, and they're just recycling it over and over and over again. And if that's what they're doing, great. There's a legitimate question as to then why is PG&E jacking up my bill, and that might be just PG&E screwing you.
Yeah, it's not like they're using Fiji.
And other utilities it will use, and, in turn, possibly take away from Gilroy residents. That's why he created South Valley Community Resistance, a group of locals standing against the data center and its approval process.
I'm concerned about how it was passed. There was not a lot of transparency.
The data center is being built just down the road from the Gilroy Premium Outlets on Camino Arroyo Drive.
So thanks to the data center, you'll be able to buy a bunch of crap on Amazon, and then you'll be able to return it at the outlets.
I love buying crap on Amazon. Whenever I'm supposed to be writing a column and I have no motivation, what I end up doing is buying a bunch of stuff I don't need.
Property has been designated for industrial use since 1981. In Gilroy, that means projects can be approved without a public hearing.
So it's not even like this is farmland that's being turned into a data center. This wasn't some garlic grove. This was already land that was already designated to be industrial. And you know what's industrial? A room with a bunch of servers.
My assumption was that it was a bunch of old Blockbuster videos.
You know, I heard I kind of love this idea. I heard this on a podcast recently. One of those tech bros that hosts one of those big tech bro podcasts said at some point, because of the pushback of the data centers, they're going to try to get single-family homeowners involved. Imagine a scenario where the big companies, the Anthropics, the OpenAIs, the Amazons, the Metas, what have you, instead of building a giant data center, what if they went to a single-family home and said, hey, we will pay for solar on your roof, a backup battery, if we can use a tiny part of your garage for some servers. That would be kind of cool.
Well, and we talk about this in the Accountability Podcast because there's also another option, which is instead of going to cities in California, you can go to the Indian tribes and just put these things on tribal land.
I mean, you could definitely have the server farm on the first floor and the casino on the second floor.
Hey, you can play the Buffalo machine. Well, that server does what it does.
We got the chance.
They could probably figure out a way, the same way that the professor got the radio to work on Gilligan's Island. What if they could figure out how to harness the kinetic energy of every single time a gambling addict like John Phillips pulls the lever, it's generating electricity for the data center?
Now that is green energy.
Before it was approved, I believe this wouldn't have.
Okay, notice how far away from the camera he is. You think that's by design? That's what they do for this particular channel? It's their style guide? Or do you think because this man lives in Gilroy, he has such strong garlic on his breath, they said, sir, you're going to have to take a step back?
Wouldn't have gotten approved. I believe the city council would have seen that people don't want this.
According to Gilroy Mayor Greg Bozo, the project...
Oh, yeah. If you weren't aware, the mayor of Gilroy's name is Bozo.
Well, there are a lot of people who think that's what their mayor's name is.
project was supported by all 7 council members, including himself. While the project will affect some farmland, Amazon says it will add about 250 new jobs and tens of millions of dollars in local tax revenue.
As we move forward, we have a balance that we must strike by maintaining the culture and the history and the ag heritage of our community, combined with economic development.
Approving projects in industrial zones has never been an issue like it has for this data center.
There is so much fear about AI and, how it's going to take everything away that this is how some local communities are trying to fight back. But it might all be for nothing. I mean, there's already a lot of situations where a lot of these companies have realized they've overinvested in the infrastructure that they have. And X is one of those companies where now they're leasing out the data center infrastructure they already built to other companies because turns out they don't need it as much because not that many people are using Grok besides John.
I don't understand why people are so hostile to AI. The moment I heard about it, I thought to myself, wait. In the future, I'm going to be able to be even lazier than I am today. Sign me up.
I was wary about AI till I started making graphics for this video broadcast that you get to see during the commercial breaks. And now I am all in. Google Gemini powers every single one of those silly pictures that I make.
I'm surprised you haven't done anything with Betsy Ross.
I'm trying to, there are certain safeguards that are on these AIs. You can't just tell it to generate anything. It took quite a few different queries to get an approval from the AI to give me a picture of Gavin Newsom wearing a diaper. And still they had it over his suit. So I can't make him look like Baby Richard.
According to City Administrator Matt Morley.
I'm not aware of a project such as this in Gilroy that has created this issue.
This guy has a picture of garlic in his office.
I didn't want to say anything, but Mayor Bozo had a shirt that said Gilroy on it, and the logo for the town was garlic.
I mean, that is what they are known for. I've always wanted to go to the Gilroy Garlic Festival.
Yeah, well, certain towns are known for certain things. That doesn't mean it needs to be in every single piece of literature. I mean, Brentwood, California is known for O.J. Simpson killing Nicole. What do you think they should put on the website there?
What's going on, America?
The city.
I sure hope Brentwood is known for something else.
Well, could you think of anything else more famous than that they're known for?
Betty White lived there.
All over the country and certainly in California and the Bay Area deal with this on a regular basis.
Morley says Amazon checked all the boxes for environmental reviews and committed to using 100% recycled water.
So this isn't going to use any extra water, which some of these data centers don't do that, and they're driving up the cost of energy. But it's also possible that the energy monopolies are pushing up the cost because they think the public thinks, they'll blame AI instead of blaming PG&E and SoCal Edison and San Diego Gas and Electric.
Well, maybe that's what they need to do from a PR standpoint. Let the world know they're only going to use water that no one else wants. So they should all go buy it from Flint, Michigan.
Along with clean and carbon-free energy. He says the approval process includes multiple channels.
We currently have a decision tree, essentially, that takes us through the steps of approving a project.
You really should lean into it here and call it a decision bulb.
And we follow that decision tree.
That tree may have another branch later this summer, as Bozo and Council...
I can't ever get past it.
If you're the city clerk and you have to read that name every time there's a vote, how do you keep a straight face?
All rise for Bozo. He doesn't even try to say, no, it's Bozo. He goes for it. It's Bozo.
Members consider amending Gilroy zoning code.
I will say, in the story about Gilroy residents complaining about the data center, every shot of the city, it's a beautiful place.
To enhance public outreach. That could delay projects even further. But for residents like Landon, it protects what he loves about his city.
In August, the Gilroy City Council will consider the amendments Kevin just mentioned. Construction on the Amazon data center will continue. It's scheduled to be operational by the end of this year.
There you go. That is the fight going on right now in Gilroy over an Amazon data center.
Listener Carey just commented in the chat. He said Brentwood is where Marilyn Monroe's house was. And then he also told us in a separate comment, don't forget Rob Reiner was murdered there. I don't know if that's any better than being known for the OJ murders.
It really isn't.
I know that Carrie's trying to help, but it's just another negative connotation. You know what I mean?
Yep. Crazy 8 writes in, Gemini is worst for protection, but now Grok charges for image generation. Yeah, I started making my Gavin Newsom pictures on Grok, and then it said, you used your limit this week. Pay us $30 a month or wait till next week. So I said, screw you, Elon. I'm going to Google. I can't only make 10 pictures of Gavin a week.
You've really gone wild with those graphics, and people love them.
I have free reign to do whatever I want to do in the morning after I take my Pilates class. And instead of sitting on the couch and playing my Nintendo, I'm on my computer making silly little graphics for this show and laughing like a hyena.
And I love them all.
And hey, if you're watching the feed right now, you're going to see all of them during the break.
Well, just imagine what that Carol Burnett would have done with you. And I don't mean that sexually.
No, he means the cartoons that they used to put before the sketch.
But maybe she'd be into you sexually, too. I don't know.
We really need to go to break.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is a telephone number. There seems to be some debate going on right now in chat as to just exactly where Marilyn Monroe lived. And there are some listeners who are disputing that she lived in Brentwood.
So I guess it's only OJ that they're known for then, huh?
Well, and Rob Reiner.
Not great.
No. We have to find something positive that's happened in Brentwood, California.
Well, you try typing that into Grok, but Eli might charge you $30.
Isn't that where Joan Crawford used to beat her kids too?
Is that positive?
I don't know. They seem to do what they were told. You didn't see them on e-bikes, did you?
No, you did not.
All right. There's a bar in San Francisco that has now prohibited cell phones.
And in fact, it's something that this speakeasy has been doing since 2006, before the phones even got smart. But if you want to drink at this bar, you're going to have an actual conversation with somebody. For more on this scary concept, here is KPIX in the Bay.
So in a city that's launched thousands of startups, the hottest trend in nightlife is going decidedly low tech. Our Itai Hod looks at why more bars and restaurants are putting down the phone and picking up the conversation.
The secret word you say quietly after pressing the nondescript buzzer in San Francisco's Tenderloin.
Hello, do you guys have the password for tonight?
Doesn't just open a door.
Hipsters love passwords.
Oh, yeah. This is like a Prohibition era bar.
I got to admit, when I was wandering around Dublin over Christmas, we did get a tip to a speakeasy that was under a restaurant, and you had to press the golden pig's nose to get in, and then a door opened up from a bookcase. I thought it was pretty cool. It also helped that the cocktails at the speakeasy were really good.
It opens a portal into another time. A time when passwords...
See, they always have to have the hidden bookcase.
This is like a game of Clue.
Granted access to hidden rooms and liquor flowed freely, even while the law insisted otherwise. Back then, alcohol was prohibited.
Welcome to Bourbon and Branch.
Today, it's technology.
And don't use cell phones while here.
Inside Bourbon and Branch.
All of a sudden, I'm salivating.
You really like that bourbon, don't you?
I like a good cocktail, I'll tell you that.
The cocktails are stiff, the lights glow amber, and conversations happen face to face.
Have phones ruined the social scene?
I think they have.
General Manager Anastasia Cortez says the speakeasy has been here since the 1920s. When new owners took over in 2006, they made one thing clear: no phones.
People are really looking for...
By the way, that girl that was sitting at the table, she's going to cheat because she has her Apple Watch, and you can text on that.
That's how I cheated Orange Theory.
a way to engage with each other.
In cities across the country, bars and restaurants are now enforcing the same rule, and the generation fueling it may surprise you. A 2026 study found 63% of Gen Z intentionally disconnect from their devices.
Well, they're the ones that were born with this stuff, and they're sick of it.
You know, over at Manny's in San Francisco, they have a different policy to make sure you're paying attention.
Check out yesterday's show if you don't get that reference.
24-year-old Addison Sutton admits it's not as easy as it sounds.
Are you having withdrawals right now? The shakes?
Well, no, I have alcohol to fix that.
You know,
he's honest.
If I don't have my phone on me, I do kind of get to a point where I don't know what to do with my hands. But if I am nursing a drink, it does solve that problem.
Drink for that. That's why I'm here, right? Go this way here.
CEO Brian Sheehy gave us a tour of the original speakeasy, which still has all of its secret exits in case police came knocking.
And this isn't the lady.
Okay, I got to go to this place. This sounds like so much fun.
I can tell you're like taking notes.
San Francisco has a lot of cool spots.
This is not the ladies' room.
And while prohibition may be long over...
So no women were actually allowed in the bar in the 20s. So the ladies' room was actually the exit for when the coppers came a-knocking.
still one item that's strictly contraband.
Have you ever had to boot anyone?
Oh, yeah, regularly.
Because the only password needed here isn't on your phone.
Mughal.
It's whispered at the door.
Okay, so if you do pull out your phone, Bourbon and Branch says first-timers get a warning. Repeat offenders, they'll find the exit, and it's not the secret one.
You're getting banned from the speakeasy if you pull out your phone.
I know someone who makes everyone at the table take their cell phone out and put it in the middle of the table when he sits down for dinner. So no one can have their cell phone.
How do you deal with that?
I cheat. Oh, yeah, mine's in there. Don't worry about it. All right, that's going to do it for us, but we'll be back tomorrow at noon for another edition of The John Phillips Show.